Aloha rising and grand tidings one and all. Welcome back to Applied Intuition. We are on day 5 of our 24-day experience. For the next 3 days, we're going to be diving deeply into this concept of coherence. However, before we get there, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can stay in constant contact with all of the great content coming out on this channel. Now, as we've been talking about, yesterday we identified what intuition is. We came up with a working definition in being able to utilize for this experience. Today, and for the next 3 days, we are going to go a little bit deeper in terms of how intuition works. Now, what we're really doing in this first week is providing context, a container that for the subsequent 2.5 weeks, we'll be able to fill, not just with things that we're talking about in terms of our head, not just even the things that we're talking about in terms of our heart, really having a very real experience of what your specific intuitive talent is and how we can actually begin to work with it in a way. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, specifically around the concept of coherence, is around its movement throughout our physical body. What I mean to say is brainwave frequencies, actual measurements of what it is that our brain is doing, both the left and the right hemisphere, and how that actually relates to consistent access and accuracy of our intuitive talents. Now, I love the synchronicity. Just yesterday, I was talking with my neighbor about surfing. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever gone surfing before. However, there are certain movements to the ocean itself. We were talking about surfing and sort of the waves that we have. You know, if he's been out recently, have I been out recently? And as we're talking about it, we began to talk more about the waves itself. Now, growing up here on Maui, you know, the ocean has been my playground for the entirety of my life. Growing up, a lot of it was bodyboarding or body surfing and fishing. Now, as I grew into high school, got more into paddling and surfing. As I got into adulthood, longboarding, stand-up paddleboarding. So all of these different activities that I would participate at the ocean. Now, the thing about that is the ocean itself determined what those activities would be, right? If we have like a very calm ocean, which we'll see in the morning, you know, very little wave activity. Maybe not necessarily completely flat, definitely calm though. Right? That's great conditions if I was going to go fishing or swimming. Not as much nowadays, however, when the boys were just, you know, really small kid time, toddlers and babies, that was the appropriate time. At this point, they love their waves. So calm ocean is really great for fishing, for diving, for swimming. Now, as we start to see a little bit of a bump, right? We start to see a little bit of activity coming into play. These small little bumps and swells that are coming in. That's kind of along the same lines. If I were going, though, paddling, that'd be great waves or rather activity for going out paddling, canoe paddling, kayaking, things of that nature. Going into a little bit more now, we actually start to see the swells coming in, larger bumps, larger movements start to come into play. There's something that you could still go, for example, stand-up paddleboarding on, maybe even longboarding, depending upon the size of those swells. Definitely back into paddling as well. However, when we start to see the waves actually coming in and barreling in, that's a very different type of activity that one person can then participate in. Surfing, bodyboarding, you know, more vibrant activity comes into play. And I say all of this because when we talk about brain waves, a really good analogy to use is the actual ocean itself, right? The different types of brainwave frequencies that we see within our own head actually can also determine the types of activities and the way we can more deeply connect and relate within. And that's what we're really going to be talking about in today's activity. For right now, though, what I'd like to do is go into an exercise that allows us to have an experience of the different levels of brain wave frequency. Join me in this exercise by first getting yourself into a comfortable position. This will be a closed eye exercise, so make sure that your audio is loud enough that you can hear my voice as I guide us through a very simple experience of coherence and connection. Go ahead and close your eyes. And just take a moment to breathe. As you do, just sense into what it is that your experience is right now. Notice any thoughts, any sensations that you experience. Any sounds, smells, anything that your senses pick up upon and detect. Now feel into your body. Allowing yourself to experience what it is that your body is sensing into. Any areas of tension, any areas asking for attention. And just notice that even within this short period of time, the level and experience, sensations of the body may have all decreased just a bit. A little less mental chatter, a little less tension within the body, a little more awareness of the sounds and the sensations of this moment. Notice your breath has begun to slow. Notice breathing moving from your chest and your shoulders down further, closer towards your abdomen. And in this space, just notice that you have relaxed just a little more. And let us take this relaxation even further. Breathing a little more deeply now. Connecting further within our body by merely becoming attentive to your body. Beginning at your feet, just allowing your awareness to rest here. Noticing where your feet are right now, within your mind's eye. From your feet, now become attentive and aware of your ankles, the length of your lower legs, your shins and your calves, as they connect to your knees. Focus your attention now upon your right thigh, the bone, the muscle, the sinew, even the sensations of the skin, becoming attentive to the fabric of any clothes you may be wearing, as that thigh extends all the way up into your hips, even the pressure of your own body upon your hips. Becoming attentive now and aware of the left-hand side as well. Observe your abdomen and lower back, your chest and your back. As you focus attention now upon the fingertips of your left hand, the fingers, palm and wrists, and the length of this left arm as it goes all the way into your shoulder. Do so now for the right hand side as well, your fingertips, fingers, wrists, and the length of your right arm, all the way into your shoulder. Now just attentive to your shoulders, to your neck, to the muscles of your jaw, cheeks, and brow, the entirety of your head and totality of your body. Again now, simply notice and observe the sensations, the experience of this moment. Notice breath. The rhythm of your breath now having slowed down even more. The depth of your breath going further within your body. Notice your body, the sensations of which may have become more relaxed. And the sense of where your mind is now. More calm, at ease. Now just simply connected to your being. And when ready, please feel free to again open your eyes. Now once more, to engage the world around you. Welcome back. How was that activity for you? Were you able to experience the different sensations of the different brainwave frequencies? It's one thing to talk about it. As we move further into our coming days, we're going to get more integrative now as we have a strong context for what intuition is. Now we're going to be going into those aspects of how it actually works, where the opportunity is, because as we have a better, not just connection, which is all experiential, comprehension, which is more intellectual. I want to bring these two pieces together because as we do, this indeed is what coherence is. Let's start off by identifying what coherence is. Coherence is the balance and harmonious relationship within inside of ourself. Okay, the balanced and harmonious relationship relationship is a key word on this. Within inside our self. Okay. So coherence is the balanced and harmonious relationship with inside ourself. Let's go a little bit further with that. Balanced. What does balance mean, right? If we're looking at a scale that has two sides, balance is that equilibrium. It's the place where the amount, density, and or energy of one side is equal and equivalent to the other. So let's kind of break that down. As we just experienced, right, we had an experience of what coherence is. We had an experience of the levels of our brainwave frequency. And we're able to balance it out. What that means is that we take the activity of our left hemisphere, which is where more of that conscious mind activity happens. In all intent and purposes, it's the masculine aspect of ourself, the part that's rational, logical, analytical, methodical, works really well with fixed information. However, we tend to be more on that side in our lives. Now, as we look at the other side of that, the feminine, the right hemisphere, that imaginative, emotional, expressive aspect, which is great in terms of creativity and imagination, that aspect is not as often used through most of our lives. And so when we look at that balance then, where these two aspects can equal out, right, is one piece of it. However, we also say harmonious. Now, a really good analogy for this comes and ties to relationship, right? We've all been in relationships, one or another, whether we're talking about romantic relationships or we're talking about our friendships. One of the things about relationships is that there are times when things are more tense, right? We're not necessarily fully connecting. We're arguing about things, and we just feel in a state of unrest. Now, that's in a place where we're not in harmony. Things are usually not balanced. So we're not really relating. However, there are also times when we can spend time with a person and we lose track of time. We lose track of what's happening, and all of a sudden we're just in this state of flow where we get lost in our experiences, right? And again, this doesn't have to be specifically romantic. When I'm playing with the boys, particularly outside, we will just lose track of time. We're on the trampoline, we're playing soccer, it's something that we can get into a state of flow with. And that's because we are deeply relating. We're relating to each other. We're connecting with one another on a very deep, real, and authentic way. Now, in that level of relationship, all of a sudden, all these things clear. The tensions that may exist it kind of just dissolves. And that allows our attention to just fully come to occupy this moment. Now, that's terrific because as that happens, we're not talking necessarily with coherence strictly about those around us. We're talking about within us. And so one of the things as we look at that is really how much are we really listening to ourselves? That deep inner voice, that intuitive knowing. How often do we actually honor it? Because for years, I did not. For years, I ignored it and I dismissed that deep inner voice, that, authentic, sincere inner part of who I was. And I really embraced that masculine piece of intelligence at often the expense of intuition. And so it really starts within, and this idea of coherence is important because as we drop down in those brainwave frequencies into a place that allows us to access this, it also to a certain degree for many people requires encouragement, right? To listen, to hear, to honor this inner voice, and to allow ourselves to witness who we truly are in a way that allows that deep part of ourselves to be expressed. Coherence is taking all of that into play. It's getting ourselves into a physiological and energetic state of balance and harmony so that this voice is, rather than attempting to speak over a person at a bar, right? All this other chatter, mental chatter, emotions coming in. Instead of all that, we're able to clearly identify that part of who we are and allows us then to access more readily and steadily, which is a big part of the intention of this whole 24-day challenge or experience, within those micro moments of everyday life. And so coherence is a very important piece because now we know that it's the balanced and harmonious relationship within inside ourself. And I put a little bit of a distance here because it is something that instead of just ourselves, our self, it's like this singular aspect, this authentic piece of who we are, the sincere and most real aspect of our own beingness. So that is coherence, and that is what we're going to be working on and talking about for the next 3 days, because this is a key and critical part of being able to access our intuitive talents, not just sporadically, not just periodically, regularly throughout the course of our lives and how that then can really enrich and enhance everyday life. That is it for today. Tomorrow we're going to go deeper in terms of these concepts of brainwave activity. We're going to go further in terms of the pathways on day 3. For now though, love and aloha, take care, and ahui ho.